Well, this is one way where we're streaming live. Hey, my name is Matt Carter, host of the show on Shaw Spotlight. And, well, viewers may recognize that, of course, during the whole COVID-19 thing, we've had to put the show on hiatus because, well, we can't all get together in the Shaw TV studio. Of course, we have all sorts of volunteers, all the hosts, all the camera crew and everything. So again, not quite safe to put us together in a room right now, but we still miss you quite a bit. So we thought we'd put together this little retrospective of some of the best interview clips from our 9th season of the show on Shaw. And to do that, we also thought we'd get together with some of the hosts just to see how they're doing and talk about those interviews and maybe have a bit of a follow-up as well. So hope you can join us here from our respective living rooms as we look over the best of the show on Shaw. Speaking of which, time for me to get to my living room right now. Welcome to the living room. Let's get started. Very happy to be hosting here the best of the show on Shaw. And of course, one of the best things is not only going back and revisiting some of our favorite subjects, but also revisiting each other, the other hosts here of the show. And very, very happy now to be chatting with Cathy Holmes, who's also filled in as the main host of the show, great interviewer, and already smiling. Cathy, how are you doing?
Oh my God, I miss you all so much, Matt. This is really great that we're able to actually put this show together via Skype and a way that we can be back with our audience and see everybody. And I have to tell you, it's just amazing that we are together even in this way, in this time. We have to be careful, but it's good to be together.
Absolutely. And I think you must be careful because it looks like you're currently sitting in front of a hovercraft. Is that true?
I'm actually sitting in front of my boat, which really belongs in the water. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a sailor from way back, and this is my boat, Comfortably Numb. And right now she's comfortably numb on my deck. Belongs in the water, but she's on the deck.
Have you been able to get out in the water much, or is there something that you've been able to do to keep busy here over the last few months?
No, I haven't been able to get on the water, to tell you the truth. What's been happening for me is I've been working like a banshee. So many people have been, doing different things during COVID. My role, my daytime job puts me right in the forefront. And so I've been working with our community, working with the United Way of the Lower Mainland and trying to find solutions to some very difficult problems during COVID-19. So it's been a busy, busy time. Was looking forward to some vacation. I saw it. It went. It was here last week, and now it's gone, and now I'm right back into the heat of all things once again. So, yeah, this time is moving so fast. I don't know where it's all going.
Yeah, well, I'm very, very glad we're able to spend some time here today, and also with a little white dog, it looks like, in the background as well.
Oh, you've got my girls. Okay.
Yeah, other shoulder, yeah.
Lots of people also know of my two little Jack Russells, Bobby Wilson and Kevin, and so they may very well pipe in. They're very good interviewers themselves, I might add. Absolutely adorable.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's get into this here right now. So the interview from the last season for Years to Talk About here involved with Nanaimo Hospice. So give us a little quick intro before we run the clip.
Well, the Nanaimo Hospice, does so many wonderful things in our community, and particularly now when we really need to be connected during difficult times, hospice is there for us. And I just really, first of all, want to let people know that at the beginning of the interview today, we're talking with Paul Sibley, who was the executive director and has recently moved on. Jeannie Fallman is now taken over once again at the helm of Community Hospice, and the leadership in that organization is so phenomenal. They do so many incredible programs. And this interview really touched base on some of those really intriguing new additives that they have to their programming. Along with Paul Sibley is Katie Brockman. She does the Children's Grief Program. It's really quite a fascinating and wonderful, heartwarming organization.
All right, thanks so much, Cathy. Let's take a look.
But before we do that, Paul, you and I have a common thing going on. And I just got back from seeing my amazing grandson in Fort Mac. And you were telling me about your grandkid.
Yes, yeah.
Yahoo!
So I went on a trip recently to my brother's daughter. My niece got married, and I took my grandson. He's 7 years old. So we went to Toronto, right? We went on a trip, and we stayed at the Fairmont Hotel, and we're there, and so he came up to me and he said, we spent a lot of time together, he came up to me and he just had those wide eyes, right?
Yes.
He looked me directly in the face. He said, he calls me Papa, which melts me all the time,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
He said, Papa, now I'm 64 years old, he's 7. He said, Papa, you're going to die one day, right?
Oh my.
And I said, yes. And he said, but not tomorrow, right? I said, no, not tomorrow. So, but the reason I tell that story, it's on kids' minds.
It is.
And
Very
some
much
kids
so.
have to deal with it, right? That happens in their lives.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens like in a natural way, and sometimes it happens in a crazy, traumatic way and stuff like that. And Katie, who's my colleague here, who's a young, amazing counselor, works with kids, and she deals with those situations that where kids have had to say goodbye to the people they love in their lives, right? And that's what we do. Most people think that it's about old people dying, and it is about that a little bit.
Sure,
but sometimes it's about kids saying goodbye to the people they love. So, you know, I brought Katie here, and
we're so glad that you brought Katie because honestly, it is a difficult conversation for so many people. And you know, I look at my kids and my family, and I think to myself, that conversation may happen. It happens all the time. Tell us about your programming and how you relate to these incredible children.
I guess I'll start with the fact that the youngest that we do work with is 2.5 years old.
Oh my!
The oldest for our child and youth program is 18 or 19 years old.
There's a huge range in there and
Yeah.
a huge comprehension level for young children to have to deal with such an important subject as death.
Yeah.
And so how do you find the engagement process? Are you doing it with a coloring? Are you doing it through is there a way that you can engage the children at different levels so that they can speak their truth?
Well, you raised a good point, Kathy. I think it's important to recognize that all children have different developmental ages and stages.
Yes.
And with that being said, we need different mediums to be able to meet them where they're at. So, of course, if you could close your eyes and imagine what my office is, it's basically Toys R Us unboxed.
Yay!
There's all different play
Yay!
methods that you can utilize. There's painting, there's clay, there's sand trays, books, teddy bears, puppets, whatever the kids want to do, I'm on the floor with them doing it, which is really great. And then there's also the teen piece where sometimes they just want to talk and they need someone that they can bounce ideas off of and really feel like someone gets them, even if I don't fully understand their circumstance, right?
But there's a level of being heard that comes with, you know, sitting with someone where they are in the moment that they're in it and allowing it to unfold so organically that they feel heard and supported. Another way that I know that you've been doing this too is the brand new bus that you have, which is like freaking fabulous, right? Yes. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's 33 feet. It scares the living daylights out of me.
It's a giant camper though.
It is.
Like it's massive.
And it's furnished to replicate exactly what our playroom is at Hospice, which is a really beautiful thing because it eliminates those barriers that children and families might have for transportation so we can go to them.
I love that there's a couple of different ways that people can connect. And just out of curiosity, I don't know this, I mean, from background or whatever, but do you also go into the family home at times and support there? Or is it more people are coming in with you into the Hospice Community Resource Center? Is that how it's done, Paul? Or?
Well, yeah, let me answer that. So we do outreach. We have a memorandum of understanding with the school district. So we go into the schools, right? Okay. And so that's what the Ladysmith, Nanaimo Ladysmith School District, so a memorandum. So we go into all the schools. It would be unusual for us to go into a home, but we might. I mean, we don't rule anything out, you know. But yeah, we
work with the community.
We work with the community, and that's. But I just want to say something about what Katie does expertly, right? So a child who has experienced the loss of a parent, and sometimes it's tragic.
Yes.
It's because we're involved. If you think of any situation that's happened in this community, we're probably involved in it, right?
Yes.
So a child might have found their parent deceased in their home. And if that child is 3 or 4 or 5, they don't know how to talk about it. You and I could talk about that, but they can't talk about it. So Katie is an expert in terms of how to guide them. So what kids do in play is they play with around what's current in their lives, and she guides them in the play. And what will happen is that what's current in their mind comes up. and she guides them through that process, and she helps them work through that, right? And that's what happens, and that's what we do.
And you guys do
amazing.
it so expertly well. And Katie, I'm so glad that you do that for us. They're wrapping me up, and I don't want to, because there's so much more I want to share.
Great segment there from Cathy Holmes speaking with the folks from Nanaimo Hospice, one of the amazing organizations we've been very proud to showcase here on the show on Shaw with Cathy right now. And Cathy, it's just maybe a little bit more about that interview or what's happening with hospice these days.
Well, there's lots happening with hospice, but one of the things that makes me giggle is actually sitting with Paul in that interview, coming back from my grandchildren. And I just got back from my grandchildren once again last week. So there's something, must be something with hospice and my grandchildren. Anyway, long story short, they are holding the virtual hospice hike, which is a huge hustle. Now, it's going to be a little bit different than what we had, obviously a one-day event planned, right? What this is, however, is basically 2 to 3 weeks. It's registration ends on August the 28th. And you can just go to the hospice page on Facebook. You can just type it into your Google browser, call hospice directly. Someone is going to be able to reach out to you. In particular, you can contact Kathy Dick for registration package. And the registration package has got all kinds of fantastic goodies in it. But also the virtual event itself is really whatever you want to do. Whatever you do it for hospice. So what they're suggesting is if you're going boating, although mine might be on my driveway, canoeing, golfing, kayaking, whatever you love, whatever sport, whatever joyful thing you do it for hospice, raise those dollars, because even though we physically cannot be together in that hospice hike, we can still do amazing work and raise those dollars for hospice.
Very, very well put. And again, I know like you and I, of course, have worked with the silly boat races and again, highlighted all sorts of other organizations that may be doing events like this, but now have to do things virtually. So the hospice, as well as other organizations, pay attention to who's doing or what's happening in their community, where you can support people. And even in times like this, we can still make a difference.
Exactly. It's about adapting, and we can adapt together by raising money, maybe a little bit differently, but still doing the things that we love.
Perfect.
So,
I was going to say one thing I love, I know you love, is music.
Tunes. I know, tunes, right? And so here's where we get funny. Anela Kahiamoe.
No matter how you say his name, he's from the Hawaiian Islands. He's just a wonderful human being and a great musician. Here he is with his tune called Wishing Star.
I thank my wife and my stepdaughter from Scorpios Hair Salon for doing my hair today. Mahalo. Wishing on a falling star, wishing that you would love me just as much as I love you, girl. Yeah, as much as I love you. Yeah, I wanna run away with you, somewhere far away from here, just you and me. Yeah, simple and free, just you and me. Yeah, oh, I can dream. Dreams do come true. Waking up and you are here. Yeah, lying next to me. Yeah. Falling from the sky. The town's so pretty, like the look I get when I gaze into your eyes. when I gaze into your eyes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can dream. Oh, I can dream. Mahalo. Thank you very much.
That was Anela Kahiamoe, just a wonderful gem of human being and a great musical guest here on the show, performing Wishing Star. And Anela is very active throughout the Comox Valley, still performing here throughout these last couple of months. If you get a chance to check him out, highly recommend that you do. All right, moving on next. Happy to chat with one of our longtime volunteers, Mr. Matthew Hoffmann. Matthew, great to see you. How have you been doing these last couple months?
It's great to see you as well. I've been doing really well. I just finished school in April from last semester. Of course, we were sent home as students, and we had to do a lot of online virtual learning. So it's kind of nice to see that you and I are able to catch up and communicate through the actual internet, right? Through video on Skype. What I've been doing is just focusing on work and being able to travel and focus on staying in my bubble with my family and taking my niece to the park and things like that. I've actually done a lot more traveling this year than I have before on the island. Hence, I was able to go to Little Qualicum Falls, and just last week, and I went to Cameron Lake for the first time, as Cathedral Grove unfortunately has been closed for the time period. But I'm able to focus on my photography and as well as get better at video production, those sort of things. So it's been really exciting. I know these are hard times, but I'm able to focus on things that matter most to me instead of trying to focus on going somewhere out of the province. How are things with you?
Doing really good. And I was actually thinking, I sort of have approached this a lot of the same way you have, is looking at this as an opportunity for travel on Vancouver Island. Little Qualicum Falls, it's one of my favorite spots there in English River Falls for swimming, for hiking. And so, yeah, it's really inspiring to hear about getting out and exploring basically your own island.
What sort of things would you say that are your favorite places to go on the island?
Top Bridge outside of Parksville, a big fan of that. Also going to see some craft beverage providers in the Cowichan Valley, Comox Valley, that sort of thing. So yeah, so any place there's water, I'm pretty happy. Same with yourself, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was just at the Parksville beach today. Just took the niece out and just let her run around and got myself a little wet in the water park. So I thought that was pretty awesome. I'm like, here, hold my phone, and then just jumped in the water, right? I can't swim, so it's kind of hard not going in the ocean. So if it's falling on me, I think it's okay.
Exactly. Well, great to hear about you getting out and about. And I got to say, speaking about a little bit of bravery there, the one interview we had with you in this past season of the show was one where you had to step in sort of last minute and help out with an interview. So without much prep time, you had to go in there and chat with folks from the Wisteria Community Association. So sort of set up what that interview was all about.
So that interview was actually about a dinner they were doing on Boxing Day during the holiday season. It was to invite the community to come in and to enjoy a meal and enjoy fun times and enjoy music. Paul Gogo, he wouldn't tell me exactly what the music was that they were playing, but it was I'm sure they had a good time and they were be able to provide for the community like they normally do with the Stone Soup Foundation.
Absolutely. Yeah, Paul is just a wonderful character. Great to have John Boyes in there as well. So thank you again for getting that interview set up for us.
Awesome. And here's the interview.
There's always room for help, and the least of it is, even if you don't want to help, it's just good fellowship.
That's the greatest thing is especially this time of year is bringing people together. And so everyone can kind of be with each other, right?
Absolutely everybody, and no one's turned away. This event is for everybody, and I believe the fellowship is really the main thing. There's a lot of people that don't have the perfect Christmas. There's a lot of people that don't have anything to look forward to other than what they're finding that day. I mean, what I'm saying is it's for everyone. We're all about human dignity and human decency, and certainly feeding the poor, and but But it's not just for the poor, it's for everyone. There's also the working poor, and some people don't get a big Christmas dinner. And this is a fabulous, fabulous gourmet, gigantic dinner, and it's free. And the fellowship, chance to hang out with your fellow people, spread some Christmas cheer,
No matter how many people and organizations do this, there's still never enough. So we're doing all we can.
From December 2019, interview there with Matthew Hoffmann and the folks representing Wisteria Community Association, and speaking a lot about fellowship and, of course, how important it is to have all of us around close to each other. Something that's very difficult, of course, with these times right now. So a big thank you to Matthew Hoffmann for handling that interview. Speaking with Matthew right now, any sort of further updates or comment on the interview or on the association?
So a comment on the association, just want to go over some things that they have upcoming. So just want to mention the Wisteria Community Association, aka Stone Soup, has been on the front line since March. They're out 2 hours every night on Wesley Street, 7 days a week supporting the community. They have an upcoming event on August 31st for Overdose Awareness Day. A memorial garden is being done on the corner of their property, and on the fence there will be metal hearts with the names of loved ones lost. There will be a water fountain, Bubba's, and a bird bath along with mega flowers. Please support Stone Soup as this will air past the event. And please remember all the loved ones that have lost. It's very hard times during this pandemic where overdoses are common, and we have gone through a lot of overdoses this past couple months. Make sure that we are aware that we do have another crisis in this province, not just the pandemic. But going back to Stone Soup, they also have a bottle drive for those who are looking to get rid of their bottles and have them go towards a good cause. Bottles can be dropped off or picked up. If you are wanting to donate bottles for the bottle drive, canned food, or other donations, you can call 250-591-6443 or email wisteriacommunityass@shaw.ca or visit their Facebook page, Wisteria Community Association. We will now go to our musical guest, Tami Nutting, Stand as One.
Gaia's a home for the human race. Please tell me it's not too late. Why are we the ones to seal her fate? The ocean's full of fish dying. World's full of people crying. Leaves who lead are lying. How long can we keep on denying the world we war for? It's the world we live for. It's the world we die for. We'll soon be no more. The truth is so clear. Live in fear. We must all do something now, or there'll be nothing left. And how? Here we go. Come on, people, raise your voice. Let's all stand together. You know it can be done if we all stand as one. United we stand, divided we die. Doesn't matter how hard we try. This should matter to you and I. Fish are dying. World's full of people crying. Leaders who lead are lying. How long do we keep on denying? Everybody, come on, people, raise your voice. stand as one.
You were just listening to Tami Nutting performing the song Stand as One. It was great to see Tami. She's performed at a number of events sort of highlighting social justice, many events here in Vancouver Islands and also in the mainland as well the last number of years. One of the great musical highlights of the show on Shaw. Our next two interview sections are both from our February 2020 episode, and they both focus on sport and recreation. Earlier this year, we met some of the folks behind the Nanaimo Sports and Social Club, an organization that runs rec sports for adults, but it's with the aim of promoting not only a healthy physical activity lifestyle, but also a social lifestyle. These folks emphasize that sport and recreation can be enjoyed by everybody, not just athletes, and the mental health benefits that involve with being around each other and the exercise are just as important as the physical benefits from the exercise itself. All right, let's check this interview out. We've got two gentlemen on the show, believe just that, the founders of the Nanaimo Sport and Social Club, Chuck Hawker and Jamie Kuhn. Welcome, gentlemen, to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, before you get into the program itself, I want to talk a little bit about your interest in sport and recreation, and Chuck, we'll start with you.
Sure. Sports and recreation is something I grew up just playing a ton of competitively and even just as a fun thing to do. Jamie and I were best friends growing up, so we'd make up games in the backyard and just kill time that way, and that was really one way that we bonded. So for us, it was an important thing, not just the activity component for health, but also the social component.
All right, Jamie, who's the better athlete?
Definitely me. That's why I get the more competitive divisions. So, yeah.
Exactly. Well, obviously you turned that into this program. So now we talk a lot about different sport and rec programs here in the city and the regional district on this show. What makes the Sports and Social Club you guys have founded different than those programs, or where does it fit in?
Well, I think a big thing is just we just wanted to play sports that we get to play in high school and in elementary school, these fun sports, and then you become adults and you stop playing them. So a big thing, that's why we started with kickball and dodgeball, these sports that aren't offered in town, and they're a lot of fun to play. So we wanted to get adults involved and get out there and have fun and be active. Is important to us.
I guess too, with sort of going back to those elementary school type sports or whatever, that makes sort of the social aspect a little more easier to come across, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's kind of a lower barrier to entry. A lot of people might be intimidated to play organized softball or baseball or hockey unless they grew up playing it. But when we get registrations coming in, players are always like, I haven't played dodgeball since high school or elementary school, and I'm like, great, that's basically everybody that's playing. You're in the same boat, so you don't really feel scared joining.
Yeah, exactly. I think we got a video actually. We can roll that now. It shows some of the sport and some of the activities. All right, we'll get that fire on the screen. Again, I think got some dodgeball and some kickball on that video. Again, dodgeball. You know, Vince Vaughn showed up yet? Have you to any?
Not
any
yet.
Games?
No. This might bring him out. But yeah, this is the dodgeball that we run, and it took off pretty crazy. It has only been going for about 16 months, and our first season we had 16 teams register to play, and we have 3 divisions now. There's A, B, and C. So A gets a lot of baseball players. It's really hard to catch, and you can barely see the ball go from point A to point B. And then you've got Rec C, and it's a lot of people that maybe haven't played a lot of sports. That's a one-on-one. That's how you end a game once it's down to 2 players. It's pretty fun. Otherwise, you normally can't cross the line like that. Yeah. But yeah, Rec C, we get a lot of players. They might be families trying to find a way to connect, or people that haven't played a ton of sports.
I'm seeing here in the video clip here, folks obviously different ages, male and female. So it's co-eds. Are there any sort of age limitations, minimums, maximums sort of thing?
Yeah, we have a minimum of 19, so it's just for adults, and the maximum, if you want to come out and play, there's no real maximum. We have people in their 50s coming out and playing dodgeball and other sports, so it's really good to get people of different age groups getting together and having a good time together.
It looks like futsal here, right? So indoor soccer, is it 4 against 4?
Yeah, it's 4v4, 1 goalie, 3 players out. And we've got a good mix of players there too, some with lots of soccer experience and lots of players that are just looking for an activity, and maybe they played dodgeball or kickball through us, and they want to stay involved and stay connected with their friends.
As we get close to the end of the video here, I do want to ask, I understand you have some more sports and I guess new seasons coming up, more programs coming up here as we get into the spring?
Yeah, we have dodgeball. It's another season of dodgeball starting in April, and then we also have some new sports we're going to try out. We're going to try out some volleyball on grass in the spring, and then we're going to do some beach volleyball in the summer. And then we have our kickball, which is very popular, starting in June.
Perfect. All right, one more question to you here before we wrap up. I understand you received some pretty excellent recognition from the Nanaimo Sports Achievement Awards recently. So you speak about that.
Yeah, last week we got emailed that we were nominated as a finalist for Sports Administrators of the Year. And I think that just really goes to show that we want to do things at a really high level. We were very professional about things. We do a lot of media so that players can also still feel connected when they're not playing the sport, and they look forward to looking at those things. And we're looking forward to attending the ceremony later this month.
All right, well, congratulations are in the nomination, and both of you, thanks again for your work contributing to, again, health and recreation for adults here in Nanaimo. Really enjoyed revisiting that interview there with Chuck and Jamie with the Nanaimo Sports and Social Club. A little update on the organization. As you can imagine, they had to cancel a number of their events in sports over the last couple of months, obviously with the pandemic, including beach and grass volleyball and kickball. But they have, this is very cool, been running a yard games social throughout August, a little bit of July and into September as well. Some sports such as bocce and ladder ball. So some really fun backyard type games where you can still have physical distancing and still have a great time. I do it for you. Check out the Nanaimo Sports and Social Club website, nanaimossc.com, for more information on their upcoming sport programs. And it's actually worth checking out their website just to see some of the names of the dodgeball teams they've had over the last couple of years. Of course, as a fan of puns, some of my favorites, top three: Don't Stop Ball Leaving, Throwbo Cops, and Duck Dynasty. Love it. All right. All right. I've got to actually change rooms here just to sort of switch up the background a little bit. So while I'm doing that, we're going to have another musical interlude now, featuring a wonderful pianist we've had a chance to feature on this program a number of times. Please enjoy the music of Marty Steele with his song, Dragonfly. It's the best of the show here on Shaw. That's the very talented Marty Steele with his song, Dragonfly. You're watching the best of the show here on Shaw. We have one more interview segment here for this episode of the best of the show on Shaw, and very happy to be speaking with Brian Sugiyama, one of the guys who really knows recreation here in Nanaimo, probably more than almost anyone else. Brian, how you doing today?
Great, Matt. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. Really wonderful to be chatting with you. Of course, we've been discussing with all the hosts sort of what they've been doing over the last couple of months while sort of COVID shut everything down. But for your story, it's kind of interesting. You were actually not in North America when the whole shutdown started.
Yes, as a matter of fact, in early March, well, actually the end of February, I left for a long-planned trip to Australia. So I was about the middle of early part of March, I was in the outback, and then traveling and exploring all parts of Australia when everything was starting to really unfold here in the middle of March. And by the 3/4 of the way through, they were telling people to come home. But of course, we ignored that and decided to stay on till our planned return date of March 28th. And we got back, although there weren't many flights running then.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, when you got back, were you sort of surprised with how serious the shutdown really was?
We monitored it on internet and emails and things like that, and we watched the news feeds from Canada. And one of the things that was interesting is that Australia didn't get us panicked in it, but they were starting to shut down various states and the state borders as we were moving away from each state. So a lot of people were starting to panic that were tourists there and starting to head back to North America and Canada. But we were in the midst of that, about just sort of doing a road trip in a van and heading back along the south coast of Australia back towards Sydney.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're very glad you got back to Canada here safely. And so for interview here, we're going to touch on a very special hockey program. So before we get to the clip, tell us really quickly, just set this interview up for us.
Sure. I was interviewing Tim Harris, who is a parent of a young Indigenous fellow who went through the hockey system. And there's not very many of those that came through, and they don't see very many in our current hockey systems all across Canada, and particularly in BC. And Emily Simpson, who is the coordinator with Kw'umut Lelum's hockey program, which is called the Salish Storm Hockey Association. And they talk about a new initiative they are running in Nanaimo and area to encourage young Indigenous youth, both who are living at home or in care, to start into hockey. First of all, they're starting with a ball hockey program, and then they're moving into ice hockey. And I'll tell a little more about where they're heading with that this fall.
Perfect. All right, let's take a look.
Tim, can you tell us a little bit about the background in the Nanaimo area and what's going on with the kids and youth here and what the activities they partake in?
Well, I think it's what this is doing. It's given our First Nations kids that are in care an opportunity. And I think that's the biggest thing, because when they're already in care, they're at a deficit already. So what we're trying to do here is give them that opportunity to take part in sport. With that being said, we're also looking at their social, emotional, mental, and spiritual being, and I think that's really important for our First Nations kids. And I had my own experience, born and raised in the Staminas First Nation. Putting my son through hockey, I knew how hard that was, so I couldn't imagine how hard it would be for other First Nations to do that. And I was lucky to have a job and to be able to afford it, but I think that's it is a difficult thing. Hockey's not the cheapest thing to do, so we managed to get through, and my son played at a little bit of a higher level, so we managed to do that. But I'm really happy about the opportunity that Kw'umut Lelum and this Salish Storm does for the kids in care. So it's important for them.
Okay. And really, in essence, and when we say they're underrepresented in Nanaimo, there's not many kids who are of Indigenous background who play hockey. I can't think of more I can count them on one hand in the numerous years that I've coached there. Emily, can you tell us a little about the background and where you're going with this program? Because you started to collect equipment.
Yes, we've reached out to Nanaimo Minor Hockey, and they shared the word out. and we've had many people donate equipment. We've had over 15 people and 120 pieces of equipment in total, anywhere from skates, helmets, socks, pants.
Let's roll some of those pictures that you've given us about what's going on right now in your collection of that.
Yes, so what's going on is we have a introduction to hockey in September, and we have,
Okay. And you've already collected some equipment, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and here's some of the kids, and you're starting with ball hockey.
Yes.
And that's being held at the covered rink, outdoor rink,
The
multi-purpose sport area.
Yeah.
Good. And these are kids who are playing street hockey just like everybody else down the street. And the last picture shows the whole group of leaders and instructors and supervisors and all the kids.
We have guest Miles Pearson with the Vancouver Island University Mariners hockey team. He comes out and he has some players too that come out and support the kids and provide tickets to the kids so they can be exposed to the hockey world and community and just have that exposure, because there's barriers where families aren't able to attend these financially, and it's important that we give them these
activities. Great.
Activities, yeah.
And this is some of the equipment. Really, what you're going to now start is taking this program onto the ice in the fall?
Yes, we are using in the fall, September 2020, we're using the ball hockey program as a feeder system to the ice. So all the kids that are playing ball hockey, we will be going forward and providing ice time for them and giving them equipment as well. Yeah.
Well, one of the things, and I guess we're starting to wrap up here, but one of the things you're looking for is continued support in terms of donated equipment. If you have equipment that's around the house and your child and your children have outgrown it, and it's still usable and still safe, get a hold of the people, Emily, and the information is on the screen here about where to donate that equipment, because this program needs it. These kids need the program, and it's their way back into integrating into our hockey programs here in Nanaimo. Thank you for coming, Emily. Tim, I think it's really important, as you said, to have these kids be involved in their own community.
Great interview there with Brian, speaking with Tim and Emily, the Sailor Storm hockey program there. We're speaking with Brian right now. Brian, do you have any update on what's going on with that particular program right now, considering it's hard to get together in recreational spaces these days?
Yes, what they're doing is in September, as they mentioned, they're going to be starting again with the Child and Youth Ball Hockey League and some rollerblading programs at the Harewood Multipurpose Court, which is right behind John Barsby Secondary School. And that will run on Wednesday evenings from 5 till 7 p.m. And what they will be doing is providing that for our local Nanaimo Indigenous youth and nearby First Nations youth in this area. The participants will learn the basics of team participation and hockey rules and regulations and the basics of inline skating. What happens then is that they are hopeful, and this is all dependent upon the city's opening up of arenas, that there will be ice hockey programs that will be connected and operated in cooperation with Nanaimo Minor Hockey and their programs, as well with the city's arena programs. There'll be skating, stick handling, and hockey development programs for those youth as well. So they're hopeful that as the arenas open up, they'll get access to those as well. And if people have any questions, can donate some equipment or want to participate in that, and you've watched this show, please contact Emily Simpson, and her number is 250-619-3619, and she's with Kw'umut Lelum Child and Youth Services, and you can contact them by email or inquiry on their website as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Brian, and it's so great to see you and speak with you again today. And you've been such a wonderful champion for recreation opportunities here in the Nanaimo and the district. It's also for youth, especially for Indigenous youth here in this segment. So really appreciate again highlighting the program for us again on the show on Shaw.
Great. Thank you for having me again. And don't forget, for everyone, please encourage your support for that, we encourage that you help with either donated equipment or participation in it if you have some youth in your area.
Perfect. Thank you again, Brian. And with that, that wraps up our first of 2 episodes of the Best of the Show on Shaw here, our abridged 9th season. So again, thank you so much for watching. Obviously a very, very weird time right now. But again, we really are buoyed doing the show with the ability to celebrate people, organizations, events in Nanaimo and the Central Vancouver Island communities that we serve. We don't know what the show is going to look like moving forward. Hopefully, we maybe can do something along lines like this. So again, reach out to your Shaw folks here in Nanaimo if you like what you're seeing. And again, stay tuned. We're going to have another selection of segments from this season coming up. And who knows what we're going to be doing in the future, but we do hope we can share these stories with you. Once again, my name is Matt Carter, host of the Show on Shaw. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to send things out here with one more song for your musical entertainment. Our good friend Myc Sharratt with Celestial. Thank you so much for watching.
See the earth shaking in her veins. Someone lights a pockets like this any other day. It's a hell of a show, makes you feel so low. But you can't seem to shed your skin. On and on we go, for all we know, right where we've always been. We dance in the fire, oh we never get tired, no we don't. Searching for something, oh we searching for something. Ooh, 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 celestial. Let's pack up the wagon, head into the woods. As our ghosts have grown tired of doing all we could. It's a hell of a show, makes you feel so low. You can't seem to shed your skin. On and on we go, we're all we know, right where we've always been. We dance in the fire, oh we never get tired, no we don't. Searching for something, searching for something. Ooh, 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 celestial. Ooh, we keep getting closer every night. In my mind, we're falling all the time. Every night. They call it love, but I don't know love. I don't